This is a literary analysis of A Different Drummer by William Melvin Kelly. Analysis by me, Anthony Pinckney. What is A Different Drummer about? A Different Drummer is a story about a black man named Tucker Caliban burning and leaving everything he had known and owned to leave the imaginary state of Sutton, which was believed to be between Alabama and Mississippi. His actions caused a domino effect, where every black person in Sutton ended up burning and abandoning everything they had known and owned and leaving Sutton. However, the entire story is told from the eyes of confused white residents of Sutton. This is a powerful story representing a piece of history from Southern culture, and this presentation will show how agrarian lifestyle, Southern culture, Southern politics, and race relations are featured throughout the novel. And as you can kind of see on the cover here, you see a house burning in the background and people salting their fields, getting ready to leave. Agrarian lifestyles and A Different Drummer. In the novel, one of the messages portrayed is the power that comes along with land ownership and labor. Tucker Caliban's ancestors had been putting in labor on white people's lands, being a foundation of the Wilson families, those plantation owners' power. Now that Caliban had been owning land himself, he did not want to stand for the injustices that his people had been through, which he felt he had been doing by owning crops, and he decided to destroy it all. He didn't want to serve white people's purpose anymore. He wanted to do his own thing. He wanted justice for black people to some degree. Southern politics and A Different Drummer. As mentioned earlier in the last slide about agrarian lifestyle, land ownership was a major source of power in the South, and that power translated to politics as well. Usually, if you owned land in the South, you'd probably get better voting rights, or you'd probably end up being a politician yourself. And owning land was just major back in the good old days in the South. Now, however, due to the heavy reliance on black laborers, the white residents began to panic when the black residents had left the state of Sutton because there was no labor, meaning no functionality throughout the state. This proved that a big source of political power came through black labor because there was no one else there to do the labor. There was so much reliance on black labor, and it all came crashing down, all came to a head when Tucker Caliban burnt his crops, and then every other black person burnt their crops. Race relations and A Different Drummer. In the town of Sutton, black and white people were not seen as equal. There was segregation, and black people were just simply seen as laborers. Caliban, as a person and through his actions, rejected this concept of this hierarchy. He owned land, became a respected landowner, and did things to his own accord. His actions caused a major shift in race relations throughout the story as white people realized they relied on black people more than they thought, or more than they had originally thought. And to conclude, A Different Drummer involves agrarian lifestyles, showing how important land ownership and farming was to Southern culture. The novel also involves Southern politics, where major sources of power came from land ownership and black labor. Finally, The novel involves race relations to where white people relied on racial inequality for their people, I mean, for their power, rather. But once black people left, there was just not much power to have overall. And finally, here's the citation of the book, the novel, A Different Drummer. Thank you.